Hey everyone, Michael Mansell here, and I am excited because I've got a guest on today. Normally, all you see is my face, but I got another equally handsome, studly, successful entrepreneur on board today, and let me just unmute him so he can say what's up. There, you should be good to go.
Hey,
Dan,
Dan.
what's up, man?
Hey, Dan. Great to be with you today.
Yeah, glad to have you on board. So I've known Dan for like 20 plus years. It's kind of crazy how long we've known each other. We went to Bible college together and seminary, whatever you want to call it. Dan and I keep going back. We've got a little ongoing debate whether we went to Bible college or seminary. I guess it's seminary. So, we read the Bible a lot. That's what we did. And it actually taught us a lot. And so I'm grateful for it. But we hooked up again. We reunited and came together last Monday for Dan Waldschmidt's Awesompalooza, which obviously was awesome. Can't argue with that at all. So had a good time there. And I wanted to bring him on today so everybody that's hopping on the webinar, we got a bunch of people jumping on, could get a little feel for what Dan is all about, what he's done. And I'm going to ask him some questions because Dan's had some serious experience, not only as an entrepreneur himself, as a speaker, as an author, as a business coach, phenomenal success in that arena, but he's also advised CEOs. And you'd think, well, why do CEOs, owners of companies and stuff who have already kind of made it need consulting, right? Why do they need a guy like Dan Waldschmidt to come on board? And now Dan's kind of transitioning to more of the directly to small business owners. And I think that's absolutely exciting. So I wanted to bring him on here today. Got a bunch of people jumping on. So I just want to shout out to everybody that's on the Facebook Live right now. I'm watching your comments. So shout out down there and let me know that you're here and you're ready to hear what Dan has to say. I know I haven't really even given him a chance to speak yet, but I will. I'm just used to being the only one talking. I'm going live to you guys. Yeah, getting a bunch of laughs on here. So smash that thumbs up button, the like button, the heart button. Let me know that you guys are excited and ready to hear what Dan has to say here. So, Dan, what have you been up to the last 19 years? I mean, in a nutshell, just give us like a brief kind of rundown overview, what you've been up to, where you're at now, that type of thing.
Yeah. As much as like when I'm introduced, it's all the successes, right? But we all know that most of us, we grow more from our failures. And so I feel like bumping along is probably an adequate discussion. As you nailed it, I mean, built a couple tech companies, sold them, consulted for big companies, decided that wasn't for me, and now kind of delivering juicy bits of awesomeness wherever I can directly to people who are looking for that instead of trying to convince business leaders that they should push this awesomeness all the way down. Just go to people who want to be awesome and give them the tools.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, in a nutshell, it's cool that you're bringing that to that level because you've experienced that, corporate level world, and now you're bringing it. At the event last Monday, I was really surrounded by a lot of either aspiring entrepreneurs or had some success in business, or we even had some people that are still working the day job but aspire to something even greater, which I thought it was great. I mean, we had all calibers to from Jill, who's worked with the NFL and done millions and millions of dollars in revenue, if not billions. I'm sure she wouldn't even tell us that if she had, but there was such a diverse range. And what I loved about that is that it really speaks to the attitude that you don't have to have had success to start achieving success in life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the first thing that I wanted to bring up here and ask you directly is, I get a lot of people that are brand new. They're stay-at-home moms, they're dads that are wanting to supplement their 9-to-5 jobs so they can get their wife home so she can spend time with the kids. Different walks of life, but a lot of people that are just starting out in this journey that we call entrepreneurship, which we could get into a whole debate about, are you an entrepreneur or not, and what do you have to be doing to be an entrepreneur? But what I really want to address here is the idea of you're just starting out. How do you have confidence as a new person who hasn't had the track record, hasn't had the failures and then the successes to go back and reflect on and gain confidence from? What would you say to people that don't have that confidence yet and they're just starting out?
Yeah, this is powerful because this is all of us at some stages of our life. I mean, this is like me right now going straight to consumers. I know how to kind of carry myself around these companies that are professional but slow moving. They pay you a lot of money, but they want reports and entrepreneurs, like you're bang, 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 bang. You're moving really fast. So for me, even in this phase in my life, I'm learning. I'm in this growth area where it feels like, I'm making failures and having to learn from them. So it's even something I got tattooed on my arm. I don't know if anyone can see it here, but I have the word believe. And I got to get it cleaned up a little bit, but believe. So if there was something, back in the days when you and I were hanging out in our house, it wasn't even in the dorms, it was in the house at Bible college. You have this sense of belief. And of course, we were studying something specific. We were studying, New Testament Greek. I think you were in that class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so, we're memorizing this language. It's not even alive yet. But we were taught what? Believe.
Right.
To believe. And so if there's, for those of you who are new and know that, like, you're talking to a guy who's accomplished some things, but I'm still new in a lot of areas, like, it's on us to believe. Now, here's what's interesting. You may say, I don't believe. Well, it's just like saying, oh, I can't swim across the English Channel. Belief is a muscle. And you have to build it, and then you have to work to strengthen it each day. It's like you roll out of bed and go, well, I've got a six-pack of belief. No, you have to work on it. You have to tone it. You have to hone it. And, part of what we were trying to do last week, gathered together, is be around people. And Jason said this in one of his things, like adding that person to your quadrant of who do you want to be around? Well, like you just mentioned, we had somebody there who she raised $50 million and returned over $1 billion in sales of her companies. It's like, I've not done that. Oh my gosh, mind blowing. And I was probably somewhere in the middle of that pack, which is funny because he was saying you're the average of your friends. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much it. And so I think it's belief. And, number one, if you're jumping into something, you're part of this group and you're jumping in, you're like, I don't have the results, but I see other people talking about it inside the group. The first thing you have to do is just believe. Number one, believe in yourself. Believe that it's possible, that you have the ability, the smarts, the will, the determination. You have all those things. You have all the things you need to be successful. And each morning you have to wake up and look in the mirror and say, I've got this. I've got this. I'm going to make it happen. No matter, even if you're thinking, I don't got this, I'm not sure I can make it happen. You say it until you believe it. And for those of you who are like, isn't that fake it till you make it? No. It's the same thing Rocky did. It's the same thing every professional athlete does before they take the field. It's like, I know I've won some other combats. I know I've accomplished some things in my past, but today is new and I have to believe in myself. And so that's where I would push all of you. You don't need results yet. You just have to believe. Results will come.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the part about faking it till you make it. That is another big controversy in the online marketing, especially, which is kind of my niche. What I like to say there is make it till you make it, because you really do. You have to make up the idea of yourself, kind of like put yourself 5 years from now and say, who do I want to be a year from now, 5 years from now, and then just start acting and operating as if you've already made it. And to me, that's not fake. So I totally agree with you on that point there. I love that because it's just, you have to make yourself be that. My wife is reading a book called Breaking the Bad Habits of Being You. And the author is Joe somebody, the name's escaping me right now, but it's a great book. And they actually talk about quantum physics, about how that if you start acting the way that you want to become, your brain actually starts developing new synapses to develop the skill set to become the person that you need to be or that you want to be it. So it's scientific. It's not even just a bunch of positive thinking. This is like documented scientific, like quantum physics.
It's real. It's really real. And it's like, be it until you see the results. So, and I saw this time and time again in big companies, and particularly even smaller companies. People would say, where are the sales? Where are my results? People in the community might be saying, where are my, PayPal results I can post and be proud of? Where are they? Here's what I would say. Listen, the last thing that happens is the sale or the money into your bank account. That's the very, very last. Like, that's the end of the journey, right? And so what people fail to realize is all of the hard work and exercise and honing and fitness and preparation and planning and execution, all the stuff that goes into that Those are the things that you have to believe in yourself enough to manage the details, to, even though you're tired. You talk a little bit about procrastination. I want to fit that in here somehow. But you have all those things that you're afraid of, or nervous about, or you feel inadequate. You have to do those things because the very, very last thing that happens is you either make money or you realize, I kind of gave up on myself, so I'm reaping the results of that, which are zero.
Yeah.
And so, don't be fooled. Every single person who posts results and says, here's the results I got, that's a trailing indicator. What you don't see are the sleepless nights, the hard work, the tiny failures, and the tiny changes that follow those failures, in order to get it right. So yeah, don't be discouraged by lack of results. Belief is where it starts.
Yeah, absolutely. The results thing is something that I actually personally got hung up on. Yeah. I'd say probably for 3 years, Dan. I was hung up on the results mentality, and I was always focused on, where are my results? Not even like I needed results to prove to other people that what I was doing was successful or could be successful. I was trying to, satisfy my own desire or want or fulfillment. I was looking for the fulfillment from the results to justify the hard work. Mm-hmm. And that's completely backwards, as you just stated. And I mean, that speaks directly to me, because I would do a couple of things and then sit back and wait for the results before I did anything else. Yeah. And I would just sit there. I'm like, well, where's my results? I did this. And when I took my eyes off of the results and just focused more on my actions than on my results, that's when the results just started coming in. And by the time they started coming in, I was so busy in action that I didn't even notice them at first. I logged into my bank account. I'm like, whoa, where'd that come from?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is powerful. This is powerful. Once you believe, you have to inject some intention. There's one thing that I could really damn it, I wish I would have done this earlier. It's the power of intention. I'm like ADD and curious and mash all that together. And oh, shiny. And I'm moving around. And that's about the worst thing in the world for those of you who have goals and you're in this group and you're like, I want to achieve this goal. And maybe it is like you started this episode. You have a day job, 9 to 5, and you're trying to do a side hustle or a night venture so your wife can stay at home. And the worst thing in the world for you is to stop and start and get distracted. And that's where intention comes in. And you're dead right about that. You're like, I'm going to do this, or I intend to do this. I'm going to have some failures. I'm going to have some setbacks. I'm going to have some obstacles. All those are normal. You're not a bad person. Just means you're normal. And then that intention keeps you focused. What really matters to me? Oh, I'm doing this so my wife can come home. I'm doing this so my kids can go to a college. Whatever that intention is for you, you focus like a laser beam on that. And then when things get tough or you're not sure what to do, you have your soul. Your soul is that intention. And it really guides you through times where you're like, I'm not getting results. Should I stop? That's probably something you hear a lot too, is how long do I go before I change? And I'm always like, I don't know. How bad do you want it? Right? No one, if your house is burning down, no one gets upset because someone comes in and wakes you up and says, you get out of your house. You go, thank you for saving my life. So if your goal is big enough, you'll always find motivation. Now, if you're not motivated, if you don't have that belief, like we talked about a minute ago, you may need to do some things to really bring that belief into your soul. Where you're waking up in the middle of the night or in the morning going, man, I can't sleep. I got to get busy because I've got this big dream, this big goal I need to work on. And by the way, that's not foo-foo. That's not some fake stuff. That's exactly what you said. That's just science. That's just how the universe works. You can be negative on it. You can say, oh, that's some chasing the secret or something like that. It's no secret. You don't even need to write a book about it. It's just facts that when you want it bad enough, it's not a surprise that you find the motivation or inspiration to actually get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you're coming at with there, because it really speaks directly, I know, to my audience, because even though I've got thousands and thousands of people in my team group and, thousands that follow me, there's people that will come into, Team Mansell and start learning and digesting the information and really attack it and go after it. And then there's still people that sit there a year later wondering why it didn't work. And it's that realization that it's not that it didn't work, it's that I didn't work. Yep. And taking that personal responsibility.
Yeah, we say internally, nothing works if you don't work. And you're right.
Yep. It's hard to admit that you don't work. I had to admit that. It's like, okay, you know what you need to do. It's like you already know the bills that you got to pay. why is it that we already know what we need to do? It's like, we just need to put two and two together to cover those.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, our lives have become really busy. And one of the books I read, which has been game changing for me, my chief of staff actually recommended, Matt, who was there, it's Deep Work by Cal Newport. And he talks about how guys like Charles Darwin and others, like they would take like every afternoon for like 2 hours, just like walk through the fields, walk through the woods and think. And our lives have become so busy. And don't worry, I'm not an old man decrying technology or anything like that. I love it. It allows us to connect with a lot of amazing people. But our lives have become so busy with like meaningless sort of stuff, or stuff that like can be done later, right, that we don't just think. We don't think about our goals. We don't think about how we're raising our kids. We don't think about what example we're setting for the people around us. We don't think about how much money we want to make. Like we don't, and then we kind of go, I wonder why I'm broke all the time. Right. Well, you haven't like figured out what you want so you can go and get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the whole concept of what you focus on, you're going to get more of. Yeah. And so if you're focused on just the small things, the bills in life, the worries around us, the little things that are going on that become big things in our mind, because that's all we focus on. And when we shift our focus to doing something that will actually get us out of our situations, or even if you're not in a situation, maybe you're just in a comfortable, $100,000 a year corporate job, but it's not fulfilling. You're still focusing on all your energy and intention on that. And one of the things that I love to say is, what you appreciate appreciates. And so when you focus on something, appreciate it, and appreciate the path, and appreciate the struggle, and appreciate the failures, you'll continue to grow in that direction, rather than staying stuck in the direction that you keep complaining about every single day. Because complaining is a form of focus.
Yeah, no, it's right. My head of content, Angie, and I were talking about this new topic that you've got your keynotes, and what happened for me was, over time, you it's almost like a stand-up act. And again, I'm not trying to say you're dropping jokes, but you know how to lead someone through this discussion, knowing that in 5 minutes you're going to come back to a topic. You kind of leave a cliffhanger, come back. So I'm developing new material, and it's hard. Because you're like thinking of new ways and kind of like, what can we do that's even better than previously? And she said to me something while we were talking, because I was talking about being awesome, which is this concept that can be kind of foo-foo. People automatically put it in that box. And she said, what's interesting about perspective is when you change your perspective, what you're looking at actually changes. Right. And I thought, oh yeah, it's kind of like that elephant where 7 blind men are touching a different part of it, and they all think they know the elephant, and right, it's really, the perspective is really, really, really small. So you're right. I mean, making excuses, whining, these are just choices. Another choice is to kind of pick yourself back up. Another choice is to ask for help. I'm surprised at the number of people, Michael, I know you put your information out there too. I will say to people, email me, call me, like tweet at me, Facebook me, and I'm pretty good. With either me or someone on my staff will come grab me and go, so-and-so message, I need you. Like, I can't answer this for you. Come help. I'm still shocked at the number of people who are like, oh, I was going to reach out, but then I felt bad. I mean, when your goal is so all-possessing, right, you're like, you're not needy, but you're one of those people who's like, look, pick me. I am driven. I need your help. I want to be successful. It just changes your whole perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea, the whole perspective. I actually hadn't really thought of it that way, other than I can relate it to my own personal life. When I look at something and my perspective is that's bad, or that person's rude, or that person's, not kind, or whatever our perspective is of the situation is exactly what it's going to be. And that's how it's going to occur to us. So it is a choice just to change your perspective. And I think we need to tell people on here, directly apply that to your current situation. Because when you free yourself of the burden and the weight and the stress of a situation, whether it's your job, your home life, your relationship, your kids, you name it, when we just recognize that stress, like Bill said, is a myth, and just recognize it for what it actually is, which is nothing. We can just release that. And it's tough. One thing, I want to be very real and honest on this, though, that it is very tough. And I will admit that it's hard to change your perspective, because the one component that we have to really address is our feelings about our perspective, because it's our feelings that create the perspective usually. And for us as habitual subconscious beings that operate out of the same norm every single day until we make a choice to just change it, we're operating mostly out of our feelings, because our feelings are really just a habit of what we felt yesterday and the day before and the day before. So wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's tough for people to separate their feelings from their perspective.
No, totally. Oh, I feel bad about this. Okay. Why do you feel bad? And that's where, when we started the day at Awesompalooza, and again, what was awesome for me is the last Awesompalooza, I did 4 hours. This time I got to do like 45 minutes. It was great. But part of digging into this, and this is that quiet introspection, is understanding, why are you having those feelings in the first place, right? Why have those feelings? Because those feelings aren't an accident. By the way, I see my battery light here all of a sudden flashing bright red at me. I'm not sure why. I might have to put a new battery in. Do you want to take a micro timeout where I just
go ahead. Yeah, let's do that.
We'll let people soak in this.
Yeah, let's let some of this soak in. I want to get some feedback from my viewers here that are on right now. So what do you guys think of this content right now? Because this is real stuff. When people message me and say, hey, why am I not, having the success I want to have yet? What's going on? A lot of it comes back to this mindset. And it's easy to just write it off as like, oh, I'll work on that and I'll be awesome once I've achieved success. So what are you guys thinking about this content right now that we're delivering to you? Because you guys really need to listen up. I mean, this is coming from Dan, who's made a ton of money, not only for himself, but for other companies as well, to help them increase their bottom line. I mean, the percentages that he was showing me about how he's helped other companies just go from being average to awesome, and then from awesome to even more awesome is documented and good stuff. So yeah. People are giving me lots of good reactions in here, Dan. They're loving this content. So let's give them a little bit more of this. But I want to shift here a little bit onto your whole Edgy concept. I want to give you a little bit of platform to talk about that and Awesompalooza, and a little bit about what that's about. And we have another event coming up later this year. So give us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So here's Edgy. All the things. Like, it started off with a book. And it's a workbook and of course, Awesompalooza, it's a calendar and all kinds of stuff. So I was raised very similar to you, Michael, and that my parents were very focused and driven, and that's how they wanted me to live my life too. No TV for 18 years, very religious, had to read a book a day, that sort of thing. My parents were like, oh, fiction's a waste of your brain power, so you're going to read biographies. And it was great. It was great. I told my mom yesterday on Mom's Day, like, thank you. I'm a little twisted in the head, but wonderful overall. Thank you. Love you. Frankly, I achieved a lot of success at an early age I call it my clueless years. And it was times when we were together in college and beyond, even when I was in university with you, I was working at Sears and, was working on, very driven, and I knew how to make money, but I didn't know a lot about life. And I talk about it a little bit in the book. I didn't know what made me successful, which was hard because the short story is, if you mix like life values with your identity, with being in a religious setting, like Bible college or seminary, you mix all that together. Oh my gosh, your brain is like a tornado of like, what the hell is going on? So I got married, which made everything better, right? Or not. And I knew that I really sucked at being a husband, like really bad, really, really bad. And I just never saw my parents fight growing up at all. So you can imagine, you're a high performer, and I married a woman who's very smart, but also very opinionated, and just let me know if I was screwing up and things like that. And so I guess I wrote the book after coming out of a really, really low point. And when I had the book offers, people wanted me to write about, growing big companies and making lots of money. And to be candid with you, I started with talking about how I was depressed and suicidal. And so when people talk about low points and obstacles, like, look, the real is this. Like, I get it. I've been there. And I'll never go back there, but I've been there. And it was a choice where I said, dude, you have to fix this, or else. Like, you just have to fix this. And I wrote the book trying to fix it. And I said, okay, how do ordinary people like me, by all accounts, you and I should be the world's biggest losers. We both dropped out of college, right? That's what they dropped out of school. You're a big loser.
Right.
Apparently, you didn't get the memo. I didn't get the memo either. So I then said, well, what are people doing? What are ordinary people? Not people who are born with a silver spoon, not people who have, MBA and PhDs. Nothing wrong with those things, by the way. I hire those people. But what are ordinary people? And so that's what Edgy became, and it became a acrostic for extreme behavior, disciplined activity, really a giving mindset, and then we spell human with a
human.
Y, so it spells edgy instead of edge, because that would be ridiculous. Yeah. So, and really, it's the 4 qualities. It took me 4 years, had 2 neuroscientists on our team. That's why everything you're saying about this, I know this is physics, this is math, this is science, this is not some opinion. We said, what is it that really drives people? And what's awesome recently is with fMRI scans, we can actually see brains, while we put this up to your head, we can see it actually happening. And I realized that these qualities of being extreme, meaning, look, people, when you jump into these programs, and when you're in this community, people are going to say, oh, that doesn't work. Or I had a brother who invested this stuff and it didn't work. And you got to be the one who's a little bit weird. Like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do it anyways. And then you got to be disciplined. I see people giving up way too soon. And we say this, and you've probably said this 100 times before. But look, the result, I don't see people going who are successful. You know what? I wish I would have given up sooner, right? I mean, just people don't do this. They all say, it was tough, and there were times where I even had some second doubts about myself, but I'm so glad I persisted. And then giving. You said it a couple minutes ago, but I'll reaffirm what you said. Your greatest business skill, marketing skill, is giving value to people. And again, that's where people get it wrong. It's like, I gave you $1. Where's my dollar worth of value? Or that's just bartering or trading, right? When you give people value, all of a sudden you check your bank account and you're like, oh crap, there's a bunch of money in there because I helped other people make a bunch of money. And I won't get into all the ins and outs, but I think there's something spiritual about money. Like it's the result of giving value to other people. If you have to keep a measuring stick, if you have to do those things, that's one way you can tell what value you're giving to other people. And again, there are bad apples in every bunch, and I get it. You're going to give me an example of, oh, this one person scams people. Sure, totally. But you want to measure value. And if that number on your measuring stick isn't where you want it to be, this is going to sound tough. I would say you're probably not giving enough value to your market, to your industry, right? We can come back to that, but I'll just say that. And then the last part is being human. We talked about this at Awesompalooza. You don't have to be perfect to be awesome. You just have to try. And a lot of mistakes, maybe even people in this group will make is, well, if I get these 2 things done, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to try this, and they've got a 5-year plan. It's like, dude, that's a 5-day plan. You don't need to wait 5 years. Get started right now. Take those steps. Anyways, I'm working on my 2nd book now. In fact, you can get a free copy of the book. I'm not even, well, I guess we are selling them because the publishers are, but it's translated to a bunch of languages now. But I think I'll wrap up by saying, while I would improve this by adding all this stuff, I kept it short. It's only like 180 pages and hand illustrated and stuff like that. I think the part I would add to it would be, what do you do after you're done reading the book? Which, of course, there's always more you would add, but the reality is it's really the 4 qualities of high performers everywhere.
Well, and I'll just add to that first of all, everybody should read Dan's book because it is a great read. It's a short read. It's easily consumed. But at the end of it, yes, Dan, you have things that you want to add to it. But what's cool about your book is that it's really set up for other people to write their continuing story from that point. Because everybody's going to create their own story. They're going to add whatever direction they come to it. And that's just going to bring more value into the business world, into the entrepreneur world. And that's what I want to really encourage people to do is don't look at other people. Like maybe you're on this live webinar right now and thinking, oh, well, there's Michael and Dan and they've made it and they've got all this success and everything. If only I had their charisma, their, you know, their experience, their results, all that stuff, then I would be able to even just start on my path. And my word here to everybody, and I know Dan seconds this, is that you need to write your own story, and you need to write, you know, maybe you'll write your own book someday. And that might seem like it's so far in the distance in the future, but I love what Dan said, that a lot of times we think of our 5-year plan, and in reality, that could actually be achieved in, you know, 5 months, 5 weeks, 5 days. I know that when I actually started doing the things that I knew I needed to do all along, and I stopped looking at other people, you know, that already had achieved success and making excuses, saying if I just had, you know, if I was as good looking as Dan, then maybe I would have success, you know, those type of things. That's when I started going on the fast track. And I literally not only accomplished things in my business, Dan, within, you know, 5 months that I thought would have taken me 5 years to do. I achieved things in my own, you know, my wife and I's financial situation, our growth in our own personal lives. Just, I mean, those 5-year goals went to 5 weeks even. And everything just starts happening and moving, and things start falling into place. It doesn't mean that it just happened magically. But when I look back, it wasn't as hard as my mind was making it to be.
Yes, that's it. That's it. That's exactly how you summed up. It's exactly right. So, and by the way, we all struggle with this. So you got to meet, you mentioned Bill in a couple minutes ago. So you got to meet Bill Courtwright, and amazing fellow. We did an event together with somebody else, and at the end of the night, we both looked at each other, and I said, "Do you want to do breakfast in the morning?" He said, "Sure." So we both kind of huddled up, and I brought Sarah, my wife, and he brought David, who you met, his son, and we had breakfast for 3 hours. And he was telling me he does these podcasts, and it's really his thing. And I was like, yeah, man, I've been thinking about doing a podcast. We tried one last year. We did 8 episodes. It kind of flopped. It was taking us a month to do one episode. It was this whole like radio hour sort of thing, highly produced, cut it down. And I was telling him this. And by the way, if you're listening and you're going, I really want to do this, this was me. This was me a year ago. And Bill just looked at me and he said, dude, stop making excuses. And I'm like, me? Like, don't talk to me that way. I didn't say that out loud. Luckily, I didn't say that out loud. And then I just said, He said, Dan, just get on the mic and teach people. Give away your best nuggets. And I thought, okay, now let me flash forward. 10 months ago, we started. We've done 135 episodes, okay? I don't even, hundreds of thousands of downloads, which is awesome. But more importantly, you know what's interesting? For all of you who have grand ideas, you figure it out as you go. So we went out. I said, I want to do a short one. Since I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, I'm going to limit each podcast to 15 minutes. And so when 14 minutes and 30 seconds, I was like, okay, all right, people, I got to start wrapping up. And I just wrapped up and said, we'll come back to it tomorrow. And I recorded an episode every day. And now, 10 months later, I'm thinking strategic. Now I'm like, oh, okay, here's what my audience wants. They want these interviews like what we're having now. Oh, they want me when I like a book. They want me to interview the author or something. They want, some like interview Jill, interview Michael Mansell, other people like that. Like, let me find those people in the world and then bring them to my community because they don't have access. They couldn't pay you enough money to get access to you. So now, but you know what? It took me 135 episodes to get that. I would have never dreamed that. And I would still be 10 months later doing nothing. Now, here's what's interesting. That's 10 months. I left that lunch. I called Matt on the phone and I said, okay, we're going to do a podcast. We're going to keep it super simple. We launched the first episode 10 days later. And all the chaos and frustration, all the excuses, all the big drama I was building up for myself, gone. We went from like having nothing, like literally nothing, to recorded, posted, live, on a website, pushing to not YouTube, iTunes, pushing to all the places, done 10 days while doing everything else. By the way, this wasn't our full-time job. We probably could have had it done in 10 hours, but literally each day making it work. And that's the challenge for all of you is just do something, like get started. And the second thing I'll say is this. A mentor of mine, I bought his program for $3,000. For some of you thinking like, you spent $3,000? And he writes this creative business package for $3,000. And I went to his I not only bought the package, I went to his live event, which cost me even more money. And then I spent $11,000 for him to get private coaching with him. So I spent a lot of money with this coach, like a lot of money. And like yourself, people are loyal to him because he delivers them value each time. But he said to us in a private door setting, he said, do you know why I charge you? Because I love this stuff. And he's made a bunch of money like you have, like I have. He said, I've made a bunch of money. But do you know why I charge you? He said, the transformation in your life doesn't really happen as you're learning. Like you can learn anywhere. You can Google stuff. You can YouTube stuff. He said, transformation happens in the transaction. When you decide you're willing to trade your value, which is money, for my value, there's a switch that just twitches instantly. And once you flip that switch, it all makes sense. And I thought, you know what, that's right. When I decided to invest that first $3,000, I said, I'm in. I'm going to do it. Was I nervous? Sure. I was plunking down $3,000. But what changed for me was I realized, it's in the second I said, I want this and I'm going to go down this path, something transformed inside me where I said, I can never go back. There's a new way of doing business, and everything was downhill from there. So for those of you thinking like, I would do this, but I'm not sure, but I'm kind of there, right there is why you haven't experienced transformation. The second you decide I'm in, I'm putting my eggs in this basket, I'm in, that's when you notice the results. That's when you notice the value starting to flow.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up about the whole paying money thing. And, I spoke about this topic at your Awesompalooza, the whole idea of money, and that money is just currency and currency is energy. And the transaction you just talked about is the transfer of energy. You basically took your energy that was holding on to your money and the mindset that you had to hold on to it as if it had some type of dynamic power over you. And you transferred that over to your coach for that transaction of value. But it really is a transfer of energy. It's your energy to him and his energy to you. And when two people authentically transfer energy like that, that's when the action steps can happen. That's when your brain and your emotions and everything just gets freed up from that. And you feel better to the point where then you were like, that felt so good and that started working so well. Now I'm going to give 11,000. You probably didn't even stress as much about the 11,000 as you did about the 3,000. Am I right about that?
That's right. Yep. That's right on the money. I sat down and I thought, if I got this much from 3,000, what could I get from 11,000? Now I don't know if he keeps coming out with like 250,000. I don't know if I'm going to go down that path yet. So if you're listening to this wise mentor, be nice to me, please.
Right.
But the truth is, you're right. If we compare, money to water or money to oil, no one's like, oh my gosh, I've got to change the oil in my car. I've got to add oil to my car. We know, like, you put oil in your car so your engine keeps running. You put water in your face so that your body stays hydrated. Like, these are simple things. And yet when it comes to money, it's like, ooh, I wonder how to get it. I wonder what I need to do. Like, it's like you go to the spigot and you're like, whoosh, you put it in and then you go, that's what you do. And you're right. That's energy. That's value. That's currency. And look, if you're struggling to go, well, what could I do to get that? Like, what are you passionate about, right? What really drives you? If you only could do one thing, what would it be? Like, think about those things and you'll find what that spigot is. And then you just fill other people's cups up. And guess what they do? They give you back that currency. They give you back that value. That's when you go and check your bank account and you're like, oh, okay. Well, that's awesome.
Right. Yeah. I mean, usually you got to have a bigger cup to receive everything that you poured out into somebody else. So if you come with, this size of cup, you're going to get this size of cup back, just pouring right into it. Cause that's the way it works. I mean, you talk about spiritual, we go right back to our Bible college days. You give out one-fold and get 10-fold back. So I love those points you're making there. The final thing I want you guys to hear about is the Awesompalooza that we had last week. And I believe you're making the recordings available to everybody out there. So talk about kind of what you got, Dan, personally. I know you put it on, but I got to believe you got something out of it. So give us one key thing you got out of last Monday, and then tell everybody how they can actually go and get the recordings of those.
So I've got my notes. These were on the wall that I've got folded up because they were massive. But, look, I took tons of notes. If you go to Awesompalooza.com, exactly as it sounds, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you, for those of you in the community, I'm going to tell you 2 little secrets that your fearless leader here shared with all of us that were awesome. You'll have the notes, and not just these, but all the video recordings as well. And as Michael said, you'll hear some amazing stuff. 2 things I thought were amazing. One is when you shared with this insight that deciding means to cut off. And I thought, man, how many of us decide I'm going to do this, but we leave the options open? It's like you're dating. Like, well, I think this is the one, but I'm going to keep these 4 alive on my Tinder profile just in case, something goes sideways and I need to dip in. And it's hard. You can't be all in and then like partially in over there. Like the reason why we say all in is it's right here. So I thought that was one great insight. And if you're wondering what context that came in, well, you just got to go to Awesompalooza and grab the notes and video and you'll see. And then the second thing, which was I heard everybody talking about, literally, you're talking, and then 3/4 of the way through you said, I think what most of us are afraid to admit is that we confuse perfectionism, calling it perfectionism when it's really procrastination. And like talk about heads blowing. It was like a Joel Osteen moment. And fabulous insight. For those of you listening, you may be going, well, I'm all ready to go when it looks good, when it feels good, when I'm ready. And you're thinking you're a perfectionist, and that's why things are slow and money's slow and your life is slow and everything's slow. And really, it's that procrastination. It's the fact that you don't want someone to tell you you're wrong. You don't want to fail. You don't want to have obstacles. And so it's easier just to like hope for the future, imagine the future's better. And so those are 2 nuggets. And I'm giving you the 30-second. If you want the 45-minute full with questions and answers and all of that, then you can go to Awesompalooza.com. And the notes are there, or the notes in the video, or you can just get the video. There's a couple different options, but it's really a no-brainer.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because when you were talking about your podcast and not kind of getting it started the first time, it's, to me, instantly I thought, oh, he was stuck in the 20%. And I talked about that on Monday, like you mentioned, that the 80-20 rule. And a lot of us get stuck in the, we've done 80% of the work, which takes us like 2 seconds because it's easy and we just can throw it together. And then we've got the 20% of perfecting our work before we release it to our audience. Like you were saying, find out if our audience is even going to like it or not before you go and perfect it, because people are so hungry for value and content. So fine line between perfectionism and procrastination. So glad you brought that up. Everybody, I did drop the link in the comments of the Facebook Live here, so you guys can go check out Awesompalooza, get the recordings. There was so much value at that event, Dan. I appreciate you asking me to come speak at it, but I got so much value out of. I was sitting there on the edge of my seat listening to each one of the speakers, and what I loved about it, and I know you didn't orchestrate this, it's just that when you bring those type of energies into one room, it's crazy cool how they all kind of just start aligning and joining and going in similar directions. And there was like this common theme through each one of the people that you had speak at your event, and we all just kind of we're hitting on similar points, but put it into a different perspective or a different angle. And I think it really communicated to every single person in that room.
Yeah, and what's neat about it is the different people there had different strengths. Like I've heard from Bill. Bill was like, I'm supposed to follow up with Michael. I heard from Jason. He's like, I need to talk to Michael. I don't know if they have already. But these are some other like well-established, really, I guess you can call them famous, people who are like, I need to talk to Michael because you've got this wealth of, e-commerce, online marketing, and we assume that if you write a best-selling book, you must know how to be successful marketing it, and that's not the case. It's not. And so these guys are going, we need your help. It's interesting to see different pieces, like a chessboard. I didn't do it; it just happened. I wish I was that smart to have the people in the room where people are looking. The quality of people in the room is high, and you're going, wait a minute, that guy's got some super talents in areas that I need. And I've already heard from different people who are like, hey, can you send me around other people's information because I'm supposed to talk to so-and-so and these other people. And I think that's when you can be in proximity with other awesome people, you just be in the same room and watch great stuff just bubble up.
Yeah, and that's one of the best benefits of going to these type of events or seminars, whatever they are, whether they're for your company that you're repping or you're just going out and getting some personal development like Awesompalooza can provide for you. It's the people that you get to surround yourself with, and you never know, who is going to be there that you're going to meet that, could turn into $100,000, $500,000 for you, next year. And I appreciate the connections, Dan, that I was able to make there. And I have, connected with, Jason's reached out to me and Ryan and Bill and, all those people. It's just, it further took my sphere and kind of my close sphere to another level. And it's like the learning and the education and the value doesn't stop when the event stops. It just gets bigger and grows bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So I really appreciate everything you brought to that event, all the people that you brought to there. Everybody go and get the recordings. It's super cheap. When I saw the price that you were offering it for, I was like, he's pretty much giving it away, because I know what it takes to put something like that on, like you pulled together and did in LA. So I appreciate you making it so available to everybody. And just as a side note, I don't make anything off of this, guys. This is just something I wanted to bring to you guys. I wanted to give Dan a platform because I know my audience, and I knew that they would appreciate, Dan, what you had to bring here to the table today. So thank you very much for being on with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. And look, man, this by itself should be, save it, chop it up, use it in a couple different spots, because this whole idea of belief, I mean, there can be times when you don't believe, and you just got to remember, I'm so dumb. I've got it tattooed on my arm so that by the way, it's on the back. So when I look in the mirror, the thing that's looking back at me is this idea of believe. And man, you may not need to tattoo it on your forehead or on the back of your arm, but they might have to maybe put a note and drop it in your wallet or something like that. And that's something you can do today to reinforce, like, I've got this. I'm going to invest. So. Yeah,
absolutely. Totally get that. And I think maybe like subliminally you put it here because as you're speaking, you like to use your hands. And if you got a short sleeve on, you're telling everybody while you're talking, believe in what I'm saying, believe.
Yeah, maybe. I wish I were this genius to think all this up. But no, it's incredible. And look, I've learned, we learned this way back in our days of Bible college. I mean, as kids, memorize verses, right? Memorize these proverbs, memorize these, in the Jewish religion in the Old Testament, they would put memorials around their house to remind themselves. And that's, I mean, look, it works, right? It's not me who invented it. It's not you who invented it. Your inspiration and motivation is usually a direct result of where you are, your state, what's around you, the people around you. And so make that state, make that environment like incredible. Fill it with all the things that when you look at, you're like, yep, all around you. There's these, these monuments to what you're doing now and your ability to conquer in the future.
Yep, absolutely. Dan, we could go on and on, I know, because I love the energy between you and I. I don't know why it took us 19 years to connect and start working together, but I'm really excited about where we're going here in the future. I totally endorse and support everything that you're doing out there, and I appreciate you coming on and giving such value to my audience here as well. So thank you very much for coming on here. We'll definitely have you back, especially considering all the feedback I'm getting here on my Facebook Live. So I got to cut it off now, but I really appreciate you being here. Just say goodbye one more time to everybody.
Hey guys, thank you. Thank you for having me. Be awesome.
We'll talk to you guys later.